train to Brookhaven.
I shouldn't have boarded that train. The hum of the cafeteria filled my ears as I sipped my coffee, lost in conversation with my colleagues. A casual remark about a new underground train station near Wales bus station caught my attention. My heart leaped. The old train station had been closed years ago, forcing me to endure long, expensive car trips between Wales, my workplace, and Brookhaven, my home, every 2 weeks. The prospect of a direct train route was a dream come true. I eagerly questioned the man about the opening date. "I heard in about a week," he replied. My excitement grew. Not only would the train save me money, but it would also significantly reduce travel time. No more traffic jams or fender benders to disrupt getting home earlier than usual. Stress-free.
Yes!
That week, I cancelled my usual trip home, eager to be among the first to experience the new train station. I spent my time researching the grand opening and preparing for my journey. The first ride was rumored to be free, so I packed my bags, and even bought things for the house I've been pulling back for long, with supplies for my siblings. I couldn't wait to surprise them with my newfound convenience. The day of the grand opening finally arrived. A day I hope should have never come. Or perhaps something or someone to have stopped me. The Saturday morning air was thick with anticipation, a strange contrast to the creeping unease that gnawed at me. Despite the early hour, I was already prepared, my heart pounding in my chest. The free train to Wales town, a rare opportunity. It was a free train, and I knew I had to be early to secure a spot. As I stepped onto the platform, the air felt heavy, almost oppressive. A strange chill ran down my spine. The atmosphere felt heavy and oppressive, unlike any train station I'd ever visited. I shrugged off the feeling, attributing it to my nerves. After all, it had been years since I'd taken the train, talkless of the underground. As I entered the station, I noticed that there were only a few people around. The underground station was dimly lit, casting long, eerie shadows. A single woman, her face framed by a worn scarf, stood behind a small table, handing out tickets. As I approached, I noticed a peculiar detail. There was no one else in sight. No station staff, no other ticket attendants. "Don't worry," the woman said, her smile seeming almost forced. "The rest are making sure everything is in order." Something about her words sent a shiver down my spine. As I sat down on a bench, I glanced towards a shadowed corner. A figure, cloaked in darkness, knelt over a man. The man's clothes were torn and stained, his skin marred by deep, bleeding wounds. The cloaked figures moved with an unnatural grace, their faces obscured by shadows. I feel like I was seeing things, unsure if it was real as I rubbed my eyes. Suddenly, one of them turned towards me. Its eyes, glinting in the dim light, seemed to bore into my soul. A wave of icy dread washed over me as I stood up, my heart pounding in my ears. The figures and the wounded man seemed to vanish into the shadows, leaving me staring at an empty corner. "Hi," a cheerful voice said. I turned to see 2 young women approached, their laughter a jarring contrast to the eerie silence. I forced a smile, my voice barely a whisper. As I glanced back at the corner, the figures were truly gone. Had I imagined it? Or was something truly sinister lurking in the depths of the underground? "Are you okay?" one of the ladies asked, both sitting on the bench beside me. I was still shaking from the fear of what I thought I saw. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm Annabelle," the other lady said, leaning forward, looking at my face. I heaved a sigh, trying to calm my racing heart. I kept glancing at the corner, expecting to see something, but nothing appeared. I dismissed the thoughts, thinking perhaps I was mistaken, but the memory lingered. A cold dread settling in my stomach. I asked the ladies if they felt anything strange, but they seemed oblivious. I forced myself to join in, but my thoughts kept returning to the incident. Again, I dismissed it. The ladies laughed, talked, and invited me to meet them back home. We became friends, and I soon forgot about the eerie feeling. I told them I needed to use the restroom before the train departed, as I saw it approached. Walking down the corridor, I heard a loud bang from a red door in one of the stalls, leading to the bathroom. I froze, startled, listening intently, but the bang didn't happen again, so I continued toward the bathroom. Again, I heard a loud knock on the same door, but this time with whimpering. Curiosity overcame my fear. They do say that curiosity is a double-edged sword with a potential dark side. Now, I could confirm that. I approached slowly, my heart pounding in my ears. As I got closer, the banging and whimpering intensified. My palms and feet were sweating with fear. Just as I reached the door, the noise stopped, replaced by a chilling silence. A notification on my phone startled me. 3 minutes to board the train. Every passengers are on standby. I was surprised there was no announcement, and even more with how they've got my number for such message to be delivered. But I pondered not so much about it, for there's more I'm focused on right now. I slid my phone into my pocket and approached the door. Out of nowhere, I felt a presence beside me. A familiar voice whispered, "Didn't you receive the text?" I jumped, turning to see the scarf lady from the ticket counter. She was so close I could feel her breath on my cheek. There were no footsteps or signs of how she had arrived. I stepped back, startled. She looked at me with icy eyes and a disdainful smile. "You're a curious cat, aren't you?" she said. "So I've noticed." I cleared my throat, trying to remain calm. I heard a bang by the door and I explained, masking my shaky voice. But she cuts in, raising a corner of her mouth. "But I heard nothing," she replied. "No one has ever been as curious as you, Miss Eris. But I assure you, you'll know soon," she said with a mischievous glint in her eyes. She told me to get back to the train, which would be leaving in less than 2 minutes. I could feel her gaze at the back of my head as I quickly turned. Still stunned that she knew my name, including that strange message, I hurried back to my seat. I realized I wanted to get out of this situation. I looked for my bag and the 2 girls, but they were nowhere to be found. I saw a hand waving from inside the train. It was Annabelle, pointing at my bag. She and the other lady helped me get it on board. I hurried toward them, feeling uneasy and scared. I told Annabelle something wasn't right and we should get off. But she didn't believe me. I told her to let go of my bag, but it was too late. The train started moving, and the doors slammed shut. There was nowhere to escape. Dread filled me as I realized I was trapped. My heart still pounding in my chest as I couldn't shake off the sense of foreboding that had enveloped me. I glanced nervously around, but every seemed oblivious to the growing unease I'm feeling. Laughter and chattering filled the air in the carriage. So, I walked over to my seat, beside Annabelle. Perhaps that was just the end of it, I muttered to myself, trying to convince myself. Perhaps the dark and perilous aura only luck in the train station, and that was where it stopped. I forced myself to relax, leaning back on my seat. Annabelle looked at me, smiling. "You're already on the train, Eris. Try to relax. Whatever you felt back at the train station wouldn't be on the train with you, would it? Just let go of your uneasiness," she insisted, looking at me like I wasn't in my right sense. I tried as much as possible to relax, when I noticed that there was no service crew members in sight. And I could see that most of the few people in the train are starting to notice as well, including Annabelle and her friend. Suddenly, the train's lights flickered ominously, casting grotesque shadows that danced across the walls like malevolent spirits. A cold draft swept through the carriage, chilling me to the bone. My heart pounded in my chest like a trapped bird, each beat echoing in my ears. The once cheerful atmosphere had been replaced by a palpable tension, thick and suffocating. Annabelle, her face ashen, turned to me. "You were right," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the growing chaos. "This is wrong." The lights flickered out completely, plunging the train into darkness. A chorus of screams erupted from the other carriages, followed by a chilling silence. Then, a cacophony of ringing phones shattered the stillness. Every device, from the sleekest smartphone to the most basic flip phone, emitted a haunting, discordant melody. My eyes darted frantically from face to face, each one etched with a mixture of fear and disbelief. I reached for my phone, my fingers trembling as I unlocked the screen. A crimson message, dripping with the digital equivalent of blood, stared back at me. "Welcome on board," it read, the letters seeming to crawl across the screen. "Your survival game before your destination has commenced. Only 2 or 1 has ever survived." A cold dread washed over me. I couldn't tell if what I was reading was real, but the terror in the eyes of the other passengers was undeniable. Before I could process the message, another one appeared, even more chilling than the first. "Even the 2 didn't survive," it said, followed by a grinning face drawn in blood. A red light illuminated the train's indicator, and a new message scrolled across the screen. "Welcome to the grand opening. Now, let the game begin. Good luck." Screams echoed from the front and back of the train, punctuated by the sound of breaking glass and metal. The doors slid open, revealing a horde of crimson-clad figures with white masks. Each carried a weapon, their eyes glinting with a sinister hunger. I felt trapped, a caged animal facing an inescapable fate. I had been warned, had felt the darkness lurking beneath the surface, but I had ignored it. Now, the consequences were dire. My phone buzzed again, a final message from an unseen tormentor to I alone. "You should have escaped when you had the chance, curious cat. But not that you can. Congratulations. You are the highest target." My blood ran cold. I looked up, my eyes meeting the cold, calculating gaze of the masked figures, as a wave of terror washed over me. This was no nightmare, it was my reality. A terrifying game with no chance of escape.
Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.